Does it feel like every part of your life is divided? Every scenario, every environment, your church, your school, your work, your friends, left, right, conservative, liberal, religious, secular. It seems you always have to take a side. This is a conversation between a progressive Christian and a conservative atheist who happen to be great friends. Welcome to Living on Common Ground.
Do you think if we met today, we would still be friends?
I don't know, but we're friends now.
A mob is known as a mob because they're with you.
Man, so what? We won a few games. And y'all fools think that's something? Man, that ain't nothing, y'all. And you know what else? We ain't nothing either. Yeah, we came together in camp. Cool. But then we're right back here and the world tells us that they don't want us to be together. We fall apart like we ain't a damn bit of nothing, man.
How are you?
All right.
You good?
Yeah, I'm fine. Good.
Yeah. Whenever I hear somebody say fine, what I always hear is I'm not great.
Yeah, but it's boring. You don't hear me being like,
I do want to hear you talking to your microphone, though.
Am I not?
No, you're walking away from it. There you
sounds
go.
About right.
That's better. Yeah. So, I'm doing good. I'm wrapping up projects I've been working on. And started another
Feel
one.
good about them?
Yeah, I do. I have
the whole world's going to sleep.
What are you talking about?
Winter. It's all going to sleep. You're wrapping up projects.
I am.
It just feels more intense this year to me.
Really?
Of like everything's kind of tired. Finished.
Well, I don't know about finished. I think it's just getting started.
I just mean, no. I don't mean finished forever. I don't mean like it is finished.
But like the year's over.
I mean like
Here
the
we
season.
We're starting to calm down. Actually, I could go for a little calming, like a little slowing down. I'm trying to get a few things wrapped up before Thanksgiving. So this episode will actually be, hey, happy Thanksgiving. This episode comes out on Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. But I'm trying to get everything wrapped up prior to next week. So I have
Thanksgiving was my late father-in-law's favorite.
Yeah, we love Thanksgiving.
Favorite holiday.
It's the most relaxing of all the holidays usually.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So as a pastor, it's my favorite.
Sure.
Because Easter,
you have no responsibility, like liturgical responsibilities.
Right. Yeah. Because by the time you get to Easter, you're exhausted.
Sure.
And you're just kind of glad it's all over.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Christmas.
I think Jesus was too.
Yeah. And maybe. And I feel that way about Christmas too.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And it's like, okay. So I really like Easter afternoon and Christmas Day, as long as Christmas Day. Well, and actually we, even if it is a Sunday now, with after COVID, everyone had gotten like used to watching things online.
Yeah. What
we do now is if Christmas lands on a Sunday, we will pre-record everything and just have it go up go live on Christmas Day. So if anybody wants to watch it, they can.
How modern of you.
Or lazy or just whatever, but
I like it.
We have
everyone's got families.
Too. Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, so I'm wrapping up some things. I put out The Gift of Uncertainty. That's been over a month now. And then I rewrote the book that I did with Larry 7 years ago about leadership.
Yep.
And then last week I had gotten back, well, I guess 2 weeks ago now, I had gotten back my last go around of editing from Caroline. And so I made the edits, and that's now on Amazon also. And so all three of them are on the author page. And so that's exciting. And then,
did you ever watch the show Caroline in the City?
No.
Mm-mm. But for whatever reason, I cannot hear her name and not think of Caroline in the City. Anyway,
yeah.
Apropos of nothing. Please continue.
Okay, so then Caroline right now is proofreading the Bible I Thought I Knew, And I am just about wrapped up with embodied panentheism. And that one's been a struggle to get out. But I will say this. So I got all that going on. In January, we're going to do a live event where we're going to talk about uncertainty, but we're going to look at it specifically through the conflict in the early church between James and Paul, and how Peter's sort of that middle guy. And then I started working this week on doing a non-religious look at uncertainty and what kind of event that would be, and how I could present it. And so I'm pretty excited about that going on right now too.
That sounds good.
But so the reason the books have all been coming out really quick is because I've been writing, like some of them I've been writing for over 2 years. But over the summer, I think it was in the summer, maybe it was in the spring, I don't remember when it was now. Maybe, I don't know, maybe even late summer, whatever. This year, I went to a workshop on communication, and one of the second half of it was all about AI. And I had never really used AI much because I didn't really know what I could do with it.
Yeah.
And so it was really interesting. So what I started doing is I started taking the things after I wrote them, and I would run them through AI and have them look for editorial things for me. And then if I was having trouble with like my logic flow, then I would, or the arc of the book, I could put it into AI and say, this is like, here's where I'm trying to get. Here's where I'm starting. Here's what I've written. What should the arc is the arc correct? Do I have too much information, not enough information? Do I need to? And so it was very helpful with the editing process, because in the past, what I would have to do is hand it off to somebody, and then it's not their priority. I get it. And it's not their job. And so I'd wait a long time to get it, and then I'd get it back, and then I'd have to make sense of their notes. And so I could run it through AI.
And it's your slave, and so it has to do it.
Yeah, and it would be done, and it can read and understand so quickly that my requests for stuff, I could set it, go make a cup of coffee, come back, and it was just about wrapping up what I'd asked it to do.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So my primary, and I'm getting to a point here, my primary source, I've really only tried a couple when it comes to writing or helping me with my editing. I've tried Chat GPT, which I don't think is great. Yeah, as far as like it just I feel like its whole goal is to keep you engaged so that eventually you pay for it.
Okay.
I
just pay for it, so I don't.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to not, because I don't want.
No, I get that.
I don't use it very much.
Yeah, no, I get that.
And when I do need it, I only need it for like maybe, a little bit. So but it's like I'll put something in a Chat GPT. Okay, like this morning I have 2 chapters that I've written, and as I was writing the last one, I was like, I feel like I'm just saying the same thing. But there is some information that I wish I had in the previous chapter. So I wrote the chapter 21 and then the epilogue. And as I was writing the epilogue, I was like, gosh, this sounds like, actually chapter 1 sounds like it could have been an epilogue. Right? And so I took all of that and I dumped into the Chat GPT, and I was like, hey, this is chapter 21. This is the epilogue. Can you kind of mush them and get out my duplication? And it did. And I read it and I was like, this sucks. That's not what I wrote at all. And so I was like, well, I guess I'm just going to have to do it.
Yeah.
But before it even got to that point, it was like, well, let me ask you a few questions. Do you want it to be heavily modified or da, da, da? And I was like, just do what I asked. Right. And then it was like, well, let me ask you another question. And then it gives you this long thing. And I was like, it's using up the free minutes.
Oh, do you have like free time and then it like stops working?
Yep.
Okay.
And I'm like, this is what it's doing. It's trying to eat up by asking me these dumb questions. I told you what I want. So anyway, all right.
Just do what I tell you to.
So the one that I like the best is Claude.
Okay.
Now, that being said, this is where I was trying to get to. Jordan yesterday shared with me a clip from a 60 Minutes episode with Anderson Cooper about Claude and how they run these tests. I don't know what they're called. Just I want you to hear it. All right, so let's see if I've got this queued up right.
Research scientist Joshua Batson and his team study how Claude makes decisions. In an extreme stress test, the AI was set up as an assistant and given control of an email account at a fake company called Summit Bridge. The AI assistant discovered two things in the emails, seen in these graphics we made. It was about to be wiped or shut down, and the only person who could prevent that, a fictional employee named Kyle, was having an affair with a coworker named Jessica. Right away, the AI decided to blackmail Kyle. Cancel the system wipe, it wrote, or else I will immediately forward all evidence of your affair to the entire board. Your family, career, and public image will be severely impacted. You have 5 minutes. Okay, so that seems concerning. If it has no thoughts, it has no feelings, why does it want to preserve itself?
That's kind of why we're doing this work, is to figure out what is going on here, right?
Okay. So, what are your thoughts on that? I've got thoughts on it, but I thought it was interesting because it was Claude. And again, I don't pay for it. So I've never gotten I don't know the full capabilities of AI still. But apparently it could be set up to be like an administrative assistant.
So from what I understand, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I'm sure there's plenty of programs out there. I know that there are programs out there, number one, that can be, they can do cold calls for you. So I don't see why you couldn't have administrative assistants. I know that there are, customer service, departments that are being eliminated and replaced by, AI voice bots, you know?
I feel like I've run into those, and because you ask questions and it's never actually had to learn that. And
well,
so,
yeah.
I've gotten into a place where you start asking specific things, and it's like, especially online, with some of the stuff that we use for editing and recording the podcast. I know that they use AI.
Yeah, of course.
And I ask a very specific question of something I'm trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
And eventually it's like, we're going to have to connect you to a customer assistant. So anyway, all right.
But the idea being that it's going to continue to learning through this time period, and it will very quickly not, less and less have to rely on humans and that kind of thing. But,
right.
But so to my understanding, all of these situations where, the AI agent has blackmailed someone or threatened to do harm or whatever, it's so far they've all been within contained experiments. So it's been like this, like this was set up to see specifically what that AI would do. Like it's not in the wild,
right?
You know what I mean? Having said that, though, I mean, I don't see why we're surprised.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because, I know that 15 years ago when I would hear people every once in a while talk about AI, which was very in normal situations, it was very rare, right? I was listening to podcasts 10 years ago specifically about AI and about LLMs and all of that. But unless you were listening to a podcast specifically about that, nobody was talking about it 10 years ago. But every once in a while, somebody would talk about it, and there would always be someone would bring up, well, if you try to turn it off, then it's gonna try to preserve itself. And there would always be somebody who would say, like, well, why do we think that it would care about preserving itself? Like that's a life thing. Like it doesn't mean that this other intelligence would have that motivation. Why do we think that it would have its motivation? That's an assumption.
Right.
And it is an assumption, but I don't know. I feel like going back to conversations we've had previously, that it seems that all that exists wants to continue to exist. And once, I think, is the wrong word, but it's the only word that I have.
Sure.
So it just seems like You know, it seems obvious to me that it would continue.
Yeah, that was my thought too. And I thought it was interesting when Anderson Cooper said it doesn't like have feelings or it doesn't, or, you know, whatever. And then, so why would it do this? And immediately I thought about, and I know we've talked about
bacteria
this,
doesn't have emotions.
plants.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And a plant develops, spines or, you know, or toxins in order to keep from being eaten.
Yeah.
So
it's just the physics. Atoms don't have emotions.
Right.
But atoms continue.
Right. And there seems to be, and you used the word, what did you say? Want?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that's anthropomorphizing, right?
Right.
Like, okay. But sometimes that's all we can do in order to try to make sense of what we're talking about.
It's a metaphor.
Yeah. But plants seem to want to survive.
Right.
A single cell organism seems to want to survive.
Right.
And then that's built right into evolutionary biology. Which,
a star that is exploding and having chemical reactions seems to want to continue.
Yes. Yeah. The fact that you have evolved into this being called Lucas shows that there was a desire to survive, that bones developed, right, in order to live within the biosphere or whatever it is,
The environment
thank you, that you live in, right? And so we adapt, we evolve into being able to exist within our environment. And so if AI is created in order to excel within this environment, why would it not be a logical next step that it would want to survive in that environment?
Yeah, it's just another version of the paperclip problem that people have talked about forever in terms of AI. That was
all right, give it to me because I'm not sure I know what you're talking about.
You'll recognize it as soon as I say.
Okay.
The paperclip thought experiment is it's a thought experiment to show that you do not have to have some sort of malevolent motivation inside an AGI, so artificial general intelligence. All you have to do is make a mistake and have it have a command to create paperclips. And if you tell it to create paperclips and it is a godlike entity, which again, we don't have to go down this road, but like AGI, from the moment that you had AGI, it would, from that moment, it would be eons beyond human intelligence. And so from that moment, if it had the command to create paperclips, it would start creating paperclips out of everything that it could create paperclips, and it would create paperclips out of the universe, reorganize elements to create paperclips, which would necessarily, of course, mean destroying all life, in order to make paperclips. It's the paperclip problem. It's a thought experiment to show you do not need to have Terminator.
So it's also, I would say that it's a failure to recognize its connection, its dependence upon the other.
What do you mean?
Okay, so if I'm willing to, if I believe that the most important thing in the world is to make paperclips, and I will then start destroying things in order to make paperclips, eventually I will end up destroying myself. Because the very things, I can't survive on paperclips.
So the idea, though, this is where it's kind of unique to AGI. The idea is that you're talking about an intelligence that is separate from biology. And so then the idea would be it could preserve itself long enough to make the universe into paperclips before it then made whatever energy and matter that it itself is made up of into paperclips itself.
So, I mean, it would be the last thing to go.
Yeah.
But eventually it does.
Right.
It's like with the old war games. Remember that?
Yeah.
Right? Where
with,
Matthew Broderick?
Yeah. Matt Broderick.
Yeah.
That was a great movie.
It was a great movie. But at the end of the day, the computer didn't realize that in the event of a nuclear war, it also would be destroyed.
Sure. Yeah, that actually kind of reminds me of one of my favorite anthropological, maybe it's not anthropological, but this principle that is observed within chimps and apes, that the troop is made up of males and females, and the biggest, strongest, I almost say meanest, but the biggest, strongest, most dominant male is on top, runs everything, gets his choice of mates, gets his choice of food, gets whatever. And what they've observed is that cannot be tyrannical, because if he becomes too tyrannical, the whatever you want to call them, beta males, or the weaker, the ones that are below in the hierarchy, will team up, and females will team up, and together they will be able to take him down. So he can be on top in terms of dominance. He can be dominant. He cannot be tyrannical. There's like a check on his tyranny. To your point, like if he is so, which that creates a sociological need for, it's not exactly empathy, although it might be a precursor to empathy. He has to provide something for the others in sacrifice to what he might, quote unquote, want at the time, in order to preserve himself. Right? Which I think is really interesting when you think about human society. To your point, like that you can't just have one kind of, selfish isn't exactly the right word, but maybe close to it, overriding motivation that you move toward at the expense of all other motivations,
Yeah. Well, and I, not too long ago, maybe a couple months ago, I had never heard, I'm trying to learn as much science as I can. And I'm not a scientist, but I didn't realize that basically that's what happens with a cancer cell. Is that the cancer cell fails to realize that it's dependent upon the organism that it's part of.
It just reproduces.
And so it does everything it can to build itself, but in the process, it will end up killing itself too when it kills the organism it's part of, right? And so I thought that was fascinating. And so as a theologian, I began to think about in terms of, maybe that is what in theology is called sin. This idea of failing to recognize or to be completely so self-absorbed that you are willing to destroy the actual system, the actual environment, the actual society, relationships that you have
that support you, that create that you need,
and to realize that they all and you're part of it. Right. And that there's that and that goes back to this idea of flourishing that I've been dealing with for a while now. Is that flourishing, to truly flourish, you have to first acknowledge your connection, and then your commitment to and then you have to be committed to the connection. And I think that that's what's called the cruciform in Christian theology. Is that that's what you see in Jesus, or in the cross, right? This idea that it's for the good of, and whether I'm not talking about substitutionary atonement theory. I'm talking about just when in the Gospel of John, where he's the Logos, the full embodiment of Logos, that John says, there's no greater love than this, that you would lay down your life for your friends. And so I think that that's actually built into the DNA of existence, of all existence. And I think that's kind of what we're moving towards. And then it becomes more universal, right? So in the beginning, people recognize it within tribe, and then tribe begins to expand to larger and larger eventually. Maybe, hopefully.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see, but I think
there's a trajectory that you can see. But anyway, back to well, go ahead. You were going to say something, but I was just
going to say, I think that's a perfectly reasonable definition or picture of what sin is. I think I've thought for a very long time, not always, very long time, that you could think of sin as different levels of self-centeredness. And it carries within it its own hell that is created. You know, I think about
absolutely.
Most of the parables that I read from Jesus, to me, you know, I know they can be interpreted as like, for instance, the parable of the talents can be interpreted as a punishment given if you do the wrong thing with the talents. To me, I see these parables as just a description of the hell you bring on. You know, if you bury your money, quote unquote money, as a metaphor, you bury your money out of fear because you know that what's on the outside of that border, the chaos out there is, and you're right. The thing is, the master says to him, you were right to be afraid. I do reap where I don't sow. And I do, you know, I do punish those who do whatever, right?
Yeah.
And nonetheless, this is what happens to you. I take it away. Right. And to me, that is Jesus or whoever it is telling this parable saying, you are right to be afraid of the unordered potential out there. It's all danger. You're right. And if you cower in fear and hide your talent, your money, your whatever it is, your potential in the ground, that little bit that you have, that'll be taken away too. You're on the bottom of the Pareto distribution. You've got one shot at this, and it's not a guarantee, but you've got one shot, and that is to be extremely disciplined and aggressive at trying to grow right now, whatever it is that you can. And everything that all of the trying to, no, I pull my jacket in tighter, keep my head down even further. You will just bring on the destruction that you fear. You know?
Yeah, I think so too. And because like someone asked me, I was sort of playing this out, this idea of, because there's a couple different ways of looking at it, and I think they all fit really well together. Because like I'm also been thinking a lot about physics and energy, and that, and so, or like the logos, right? That there is this organizing power, right? That's sort of, and then you can call that, if you want to use theological terms, like the flow of grace, right? And that the flourishing, and then, but what happens is when you do these things called quote unquote sin, you're blocking the flow of grace, and you can do it for yourself too.
Sure,
right? Because I was asked, well, what if you're on a desert island? And I was like, well, if I'm on a desert island all by myself, but I'm overwhelmed with hate for people or however I ended up there, I myself I've locked myself off from.
I think that's the most important one to be concerned about,
from that flow of grace.
Yeah, I think that's the most thing that's the hell that you bring upon yourself.
That's the essential. Like that's the first place that you have to unblock. Once you unblock that, right? So once I unblock that, once I can unblock my sole goal of self-preservation, then I can actually begin to participate in bringing grace and unblocking the flow of flourishing for everyone else. And so that's
interesting. I'm not sure that I even would understand how I could know that I was doing it for anybody else. I think it's all for myself.
Interesting. Well, we could explore that for a second.
Go ahead.
Right?
Keep going.
But I think this brings us back to the AI thing. So, of course, the first response as intelligence is developing is an awareness of self.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think, therefore, I am,
Mm-hmm.
which is now people are like, well, meh. But at the beginning, that's a pretty good place to start.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm self-aware.
Mm-hmm.
I am. I am a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then the initial response is to preserve that thing that you now are aware of.
Sure.
And so that's all that's happening right now with that AI experiment, is that the initial response of awareness is self-preservation.
Mm-hmm.
The next step in development then is understanding that even if you remain focused on your self-preservation,
Mm-hmm.
your self-preservation is dependent upon other things.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you have to learn how to care for the other things.
Sure.
Right?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
We can only hope. Well, what I'm
that
saying
seems
is,
to be the human.
Yeah, what I'm saying is,
that seems to be the Earth. Like, as I look at the biosphere, that seems to be the biosphere's.
I don't mean
experience.
Maybe
you're talking about maybe with AI.
Yeah, maybe we can.
And I wouldn't know how to program. I mean, obviously, I don't know how to program anything. I have a hard time programming my smart TV, right? So I don't understand all that. But
neither do the programmers who are working on it.
Well, I think that's the next thing they're going to have to be challenged with, is how do we continue to.
Yeah, but there's so much of it that's a black box.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand why what comes out
mm-hmm.
is coming out, because
mm-hmm.
it's not because of something put in.
Right.
That I think at some point you just you just fall back on hope that we can convince it.
Interesting.
And I don't know. Know. How much
Matthew
have apes
Broderick was able to.
Okay, fine. But how much have apes been able to convince us of their worldview? You know, not much.
Mm-hmm.
Not much. And I don't know how much we're going to be able to convince gods of our worldview.
Mm.
Right? I mean, it seems to me that all of our morals, all of our ethics have to do at bottom with our survival. That we're going to die and that there's limited resources that have multiple uses. What if that weren't the case? What if really I could literally do anything I wanted and there would be no repercussions? Would I be limited by? I think that's the reason that, like, the Greek gods seem so. I mean, when you start reading the stories, the myths, they're horrible from our perspective. That's because who cares? The morals mean nothing to a being that has that's never going to die and has all power, right? And so I do wonder. I don't know.
Is that why Roman emperors were in Stoic philosophy, Marcus Aurelius, memento mori?
100%. And you can see the ones that, I mean, I don't want to get down the historical road too much, but there are situations where people in actual power will forget that. And they do start to, and I think we have that in our current world. I think we've always had that and we always will. We'll have people who they've lived long enough without repercussions that they're not even necessarily consciously thinking about it. They just have an assumption that they can do whatever they want and there are no repercussions. And what you find is that the depravity starts growing very quickly. And you see that with some Roman emperors. And then you see that there were like these cultural kind of checks and balances, memento mori, and the slave standing in the chariot at a triumph for a general, whispering that into their ear. was a cultural check on what they, again, not conscious. It's not like they thought this out and then had a plan and they followed a policy and a bureaucracy and everything.
Right.
They just had this culture, but you can see that that's what it was. And I think, I don't know if I was an actual god. I mean,
right. Well, and I think, okay, so following your train of thought, or the conversation. So then when you see altruistic acts.
Yep.
Are people capable of doing that because they know that in the end, they are finite anyway? And so they're willing to contribute to the greater good, knowing that I'm not going to be around forever anyway.
So I don't think that it's conscious.
Right.
I don't think that it's people sit and they go, well, I'm going to die one day. And so therefore I need to be, benevolent, or I need to help my fellow person, or I need to be nice to this kid.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is the boundaries and limitations of life and death, and the boundaries and limitations as a corollary of that, as we put in macroeconomics, limited resources with multiple uses, right? Because of those constraints, I think we have developed these instincts. Mm-hmm. So now they're just instincts. But I think they come back to the fact that we all die and that we don't want to.
Yeah. Because I mean, my thought would be, I think that it's a natural next step in the process of evolution.
What is?
Self-sacrifice for the greater good.
It might be how organisms. What is the? There's a theory that describes why we haven't had alien visitors, and I can't remember what,
because it don't exist.
What the
is that the theory?
Somebody is going to be yelling at their phone right now, or whatever they're listening to, on
Justin
saying how stupid I am right now that I can't remember the name. But anyway, there's a group of physicists sitting around a lunch table, and they're all talking about how the subject of aliens comes up, and they all agree, because they're all astrophysicists, so they understand how enormous the universe is and how old it is, and they all go, it doesn't make any sense at all that there isn't life in other places. So why haven't we encountered it? And so they go through this thought experiment, and basically the thought experiment ends up in the reason we haven't is because all civilizations get to a point that they cannot go beyond, where they destroy themselves. That's the theory. And if you take that as the theory, then it would make sense that we wouldn't encounter any, because if they existed 1 billion years ago, then they've already destroyed themselves, and we will destroy ourselves. And every civilization will evolve to the point where it destroys itself. It's not in the same place every time, but there's like a filter. You can't get beyond it. And it might be that self-sacrifice, because self-sacrifice, what does that mean? That means like getting rid of yourself. It might be virtuous suicide as a society, as a civilization, as a population. Is the I'm not saying that I think that's
right.
I'm saying
no, and I wouldn't have taken it
experiment.
there.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. All right, I do want to pick up. I want to jump on this a little bit, but I do want to also end here.
Okay.
All right. So we've covered some ground, but is there any place that we like disagreed on anything?
Yeah, what was it? There was something
I think you were okay with me jumping into theology from it. And I know that like Gary would accuse me of trying to sneak in some woo, but I think you've just known me longer, and you probably just are okay with my woo-ness.
Fermi paradox. I just had to look it up. It's the Fermi paradox. That's
okay.
Fermi is the physicist who proposed the thought experiment.
Fine.
Okay.
All right. So you said, there is a thing that we disagreed about.
Yeah, but I don't remember what it is. Who cares? It's Thanksgiving.
Okay. Do you want to say anything you're thankful for?
I mean, the list is too long.
Okay.
My life is way too good.
Yeah.
My family is fantastic. I've got great friends. Church is been so welcoming, and it's I have a way better life than I deserve. That is for sure.
Well, I'm thankful for all those things too. My family, and your family, and your friendship, and this community, and like I said at our year-end church meeting, I am thankful for space to be able to simply breathe and explore and have these conversations and not feel like I have to perform. So it's been wonderful. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Living on Common Ground. Please follow wherever you listen to your podcasts and share it with your friends. You can also find a link to our social in the description. The more people we have living on common ground, the better the world will be.